James chapter 3. James chapter 3. Beginning at verse 5, it reads, "Even so, the tongue is a little member, and boasted great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. For every kind of beast, and of birds, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceeded blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not be so." My brethren, these things ought not be so. So my subject for today is think before you speak. So now, as it pertains to male versus female, it's no secret that women talk more than men. And we understand that, pretty much that women talk too much. Right, Travis? You know about that too? Yeah, see? So it wasn't just me. But in fact, studies have shown that there really is no difference between the man and the woman speaking. It's just that a lot of times women are speaking at times when men are not speaking. So that's what it is. Trav, you know how that is when you say, all right, you know what, just let it go. No. One more thing. Your mama. So, it's just those moments, when we, men, we get to a point where we don't want to talk anymore, and I don't think women get to that point. At all. At all. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Because you're a woman, and I was talking about you. So I found out that when I was studying, when I was studying, I was researching something, and it was said that the English speaker has a vocabulary of between 20,000 to 40,000 words. The average English speaker has a vocabulary of 20,000 to 40,000 words. And I found another stat that says that in the course of a day, the average person speaks 10,000 words. The average person speaks 10,000 words per day. But get this, only 500 to 700 are meaningful. Only 500 to 700 are meaningful. So this leaves approximately 9,000 words that are just considered foolish babbling, insulting, derogatory, and just not beneficial. Y'all understand that? And this is the reason why we should choose our words carefully. Okay, now when we get back into James 3, James starts off by addressing the teachers. In verse 1, he's saying master, but he's talking about teachers. And he's saying that how difficult it is to be a teacher. And he's saying that pretty much too much is given, much is required, right? He's saying there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with being a teacher. And basically what he's saying is the reason why is because of the power behind the words that are used. And he's saying that with the tongue, a lot of mistakes are made with the tongue. And that's what he's saying. So he mentions in verse 3 how a small bit is used to control a horse. You know, if anybody's ever seen a horse, you know, they have the little thing in the horse mouth. And this is how they, no matter how strong that horse is, this is how they control that horse, by that little bit that is in its mouth. Then he mentions a ship, how a ship is driven by the wind, is influenced, the direction is influenced, can be influenced by the wind, because we understand how powerful wind is. Wind is one of the greatest forces of nature. But a little rudder is what controls that entire ship. As big as that ship is, there's a small rudder that controls it and dictates where it should go. And so it says in verse 5 that although the tongue is just a small member, just like with the bit, just like with the rudder, although it's just a small member, it provokes and stirs up a lot of controversy. There's a lot of chaos that happens because of the tongue. And they compared the tongue to a fire and say that just a small fire can destroy an entire forest. And that small fire is the tongue. That's how the tongue is, because the tongue can destroy your entire life. Y'all understanding this? It's saying that the tongue can destroy your entire life, that it is set on hell. The destination is hell. Y'all understanding this? The tongue, it is set, the destination is hell, where the tongue is. As I'm saying that man cannot control the tongue. And saying that man has given, we know in Genesis, man was given dominion over everything in the earth. But the tongue has never been tamed. The tongue is uncontrollable. It says that it is full of deadly poison. Y'all understand this? Y'all looking at me? And it says in verse 9, it goes on to say that, you know, we're honoring God. We're worshiping God with the same tongue that we're cursing people with.
Come on.
You see that? We're honoring God, we're worshiping God with the same tongue that we turn around and will curse people with. And it's saying that, but those people are made in the image of God. Yeah. So how are we we're honoring God, worshiping God, but we're cursing God's people, God's creation. And so verse 10 says that these things should not be that way. It shouldn't be that way. So what you will understand today is that one of the most harmful things that will hinder the word of God is the tongue. What you will understand today is one of the most harmful things that will hinder the work of God is the tongue. Y'all ready? So this is why we should think before we speak. So I'm going to give you some points, and I want to take you somewhere today. The first point is, what you say echoes forever. What you say echoes forever. What you say echoes forever. We understand that your words can both encourage and discourage. Your words can both encourage and discourage. In Proverbs 18 and 21, it says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. So your words can speak life or death, or take life. They can either give life or take life. That's strong. Y'all understand that? This is strong. 1 Thessalonians 5, beginning at verse 11, says that, wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also ye do. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord, and admonish you, and to esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake, and be at peace among yourselves. Verse 14, now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men. See that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is what? Good, both among yourselves and to all men. So your words can speak life or death. They can encourage or discourage. Another point about your words is your words can either wound or heal. Your words can either wound or heal. Proverbs 12 and 18, the Good News Translation says, thoughtless words can wound as deeply as any sword. What kind of words? Thoughtless words can wound as deep as any sword. But wisely spoken words can what? Heal. Proverbs 15 and 2 says, the tongue of the wise utters knowledge aright, but the mouths of fools pour out folly. Y'all seeing this? So your words can also either wound or heal. Now, another reason why you should think before you speak, my second point is you will be judged by your words.
Yes.
You will be judged by every word you said. You will be judged by it. Matthew 12 and 35 says, a good man, what kind of man? A good man, out of good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things. And an evil man, out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall what? Give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. So what we understand about this is, so getting control over your tongue, your words you speak, the words you put out there even online, it's critical. It's very critical. It's very critical. I want you to understand this because I think a lot of times we don't think about what we've done. We don't think about what we've said. We don't think about what we've spoken to the lives of others. And my last point for today is, of why you should think before you speak, is you have to maintain control of your actions. Okay? Because, and what this is going to help you. I'm going to help you right here. I'm going to help, because it told us that no man has tamed the tongue, right? But I'm going to teach you at least something that's going to help you deal with this. Okay? And that's by maintaining control over your actions. And that first thing, a part of this is you have to renew your mind. Your mind has to be in the right place. When we go to Romans 12 and 2, it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why is it important to renew your mind? But hold on. Why is it important to renew your mind?
You have different. Change your thought process.
You got to think your thought process. You see? So your mind has to be renewed. We understand that when we come to Christ, our mind has to be changed. Because our mind was on hell. Just like the tongue is. Our mind was on hell. We was doing hell-bound things. The wages of sin is death. So we're coming out of sin into life. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to readjust our thinking. We got to transform our mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. We have to control your actions. Please understand this. You have to control your actions. Proverbs 14:29 says, he who is slow to anger has what? Great understanding. But he who is quick-tempered exalts folly. I know me and Trapper kind of.
Put your name right there by Proverbs.
Yeah, we're gonna put Trap like Trap. Yeah,
Trap that word full thing.
Yeah, you understand it. So why is this important? Because let me tell you what this verse says. Let me tell you something. See, when you have a quick temper, you'll put yourself in a bad spot.
Yes.
Because you're not thinking. You're reacting to the situation. You see, you don't consider the consequences when you have a quick temper. Y'all understand this?
Yeah.
But he who is quick-tempered exalts folly. When he is slow to anger, when you're slow to anger, when you're in control of your action, it says that you have great understanding. Because we talked about, we kind of alluded to that this week, that sometimes we put ourselves in a bad spot that we shouldn't even put ourselves in. If we would have just thought about what was going on, asked some questions, we wouldn't even been there. You see? So please understand that. Now let me show you this. Here's the easiest way to take control of your tongue. Here's the easiest way. Right here, Galatians 5:22 says, but the fruits of the spirits is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. I'm going to read that again. But the fruits of the spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. So here's a little trick for you. Here's what you can do. What you do is you consider the fruits, right? You consider the fruits, and then you go back and plant the seed. Does that make sense to you? Let me say it again. You consider what the fruits are. What is the fruit? The fruits is what it's going to produce. So I'm telling you to do it from the reverse side, which is see what actions you would like to produce, right? And then you go back, when you consider what you're trying to produce, now you go back and plant those seeds. So I'm telling you to think of it in reverse before you say the wrong thing. You think about what you're trying to produce. Y'all understand? Is this making sense? Or y'all not following me on this? Think about the actions that you're trying, the behavior, the desired behavior. Think about the end results from the beginning. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Y'all understand? Because once again, like I said before, what you say will echo throughout eternity.
Yes. Yes.
You can't go back and take that back. People are going to always hear, because I promise you that I can ask everybody in here about something that somebody said that hurt your feelings, and you'll be able to tell me. And guess what? No matter how long it goes, how long ago it was. I have a bad memory, but guess what? I can tell you some stuff that some people have said that have hurt me, because we always hear it. We always hear it. Now, 2 Corinthians 5:20 tells us that now then we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God did beseech you by us. We pray you in Christ's stead, be ye reconciled to God. And understanding that I continuously say, when you understand that you are an ambassador, that you represent somebody greater than you, then guess what? You should act accordingly. Y'all understand that? That was 2 Corinthians 5:20. We understand that, when we were young, your mama sent you somewhere, daddy sent you somewhere. Guess what? You better act right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't go there and act the fool. Don't embarrass me.
Don't embarrass me.
Because what you were taught even at that early age is what? You're an ambassador. You're representing me. Don't embarrass me. Go there and act like you got some sense. Act like I'm teaching you something. You see what I'm saying? So Christ is saying the same thing. Don't you embarrass me while you out there in the world spreading the good news. Because half the time I don't think we spreading anything. Not at least it ain't good news. But while you're out there supposed to be spreading the good news, guess what? Remember who sent you.
Right.
Remember who you represent.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. So watch this. When James was addressing the skill set of a teacher, let me tell you how important this is. Because even though we understand when he was talking about the word, when he was addressing it, but guess what? It's bigger than that. Because, and I'm going to magnify this to understand, I want you to consider for your understanding when we think about a teacher. When I'm going to say teacher, I'm going to say anyone who teaches another. So this could be parents. This could be me as the pastor, older relatives, aunts, sisters, brothers, the neighborhood drunk. Ask me how I know about that. It refers to anyone who has the power of influence. Anyone who has the power of influence. Because here's the thing, most times we don't have the luxury of selecting which voice we want to listen to. And that dominant voice will be heard. Please understand that. Whatever that dominant voice is, it will be heard. You could think about every friendship, every relationship has a dominant voice. Every friendship you can see a group of guys, but one of the person in the group, they think he's so smart. And guess what? He could not know anything. But guess what? His voice is dominant. And he's influencing them. And guess what? When he says something, guess what's going to happen? They're going to believe it. He is their teacher. And I know that, I want to say this. Let me tell you something. See, when it comes down to parents, parents kill more dreams than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Parents kill more dreams than anybody. Guess what? Listen, I'm going to tell you this. I can remember always being told that I was going to fail. You don't want to do that. You're going to get hurt. You're going to fail. And guess what? You know what the crazy thing was? I believed it. I believed it. And I'm going to tell you that it made me afraid I was afraid to fail. So you know what I did? I was cool with making it to a certain point. But I didn't want to reach my ceiling and try my hardest, because if I would have failed, it would have killed me. And this is something that I'm dealing with even today. That I won't push myself because I don't want to say that I failed. You understand? And I'm telling you, as a child, I'm 44 years old now. And I'm still, all of this time later, that's still in the back of my mind. You can't fail. You got to make sure it's perfect. Make sure it's right. Or this wrong with it. I can always find a fault in it. I can always find a fault in it because I want it to be better. Because I don't want it to be that I failed. And I believe, I'm going to tell you this, and I know some of y'all have heard me say this before, maybe not. But I believe that a bad active parent is far worse than an absent parent.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. Because see, with that bad active parent, they're actually involved in teaching the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that kid is not learning what he's supposed to learn. He's learning the wrong thing. Whereas even with an absent parent, the absent parent ain't teaching nothing because they ain't there. So you have a chance to learn the right thing. You see what I'm saying? But when you got the wrong person there, I remember some years ago in New Orleans when the lady gave her son a gun. He had lost a fight and she gave him the gun and told him to go handle his business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad active parent. Now you done destroyed this child's life.
Huh.
Over what? Over a fight?
My God.
Over a fight. You live to fight another day. Now, guess what? I always say we don't birth cowards, but guess what? And I would make my children fight. Because you're not going to be a coward. You're going to defend yourself, but at no time is it going to be, here, go in their life. No, because I'm teaching you how to be a man. I'm teaching you how to defend, because as a man, you're going to be defending all of your life. Defending you, and then at some point, you're going to have a woman and some children to defend. So you better get used to it now. So you have to choose your words carefully. And like I said, when it comes to parents, when it comes to that influence, let me tell you something. I've always been like this. I've never liked negative people. You know, I can remember I can remember when I was shot. And I remember one of the friends of the family was like, Derick sang at everybody's funeral. Who gonna sing at Derick's funeral? That disgusted me. You know, because I just want positive people around me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I want positive people around me because you don't. Let me tell you something. A bad word can destroy your entire mood. A bad word can destroy your entire mood. And sometimes, guess what? I don't even want to hear it. But guess what? Because you started talking now, and this is why I know I've told Trap before, you got to watch who you talk to. Because guess what? When you start telling issues to people, guess what? Now you open up for them to talk to you. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be careful about who you listen to, what voice you hear. Because even with me, I'm saying the neighborhood drunk because guess what? I didn't have no daddy. And what I heard is, and really it wasn't too many daddies in our neighborhood. And what I heard was those drunks. I heard those men outside the store. I heard them talking about what I thought it was to be a man. So therefore, I thought that's what it was to be a man. Because I didn't have the teacher. So guess what? I bought into what they were saying. And guess what? And I destroyed a lot of lives because, and it's crazy because now it seems, why would you listen to a drunk? Because now you think about the wino on the corner, ain't nobody gonna listen to him. But I was a child that wanted to know, that didn't know. So to me, I didn't have, okay, the wise counsel say that, okay, listen to him, don't listen to him. So I heard the only person I heard talking, I listened to them. And the craziest thing is, and I grew up pretty much in church too. And guess what? And even all the men that were in church, I still was never taught. And that's what's said. So I want you to think about the damage that you may have caused by your words. Think about the trust that you may have betrayed of the people that look up to you through the negative choice of words. Because as that ambassador, when we go back to being that ambassador, we have to understand this, that you represent Christ. But we have to think about all of us at some point was in a bad spot. All of us were sinners. And there had to be a time where we crossed over. Right? Some water, some plant, but God gives the increase. But we have to understand that's not how God drew us. God didn't draw us by saying, you stupid. You know, what you trying to go to do? Man, that ain't what black people do. Why are you trying to talk like that? Education. Why you want to waste all that money on education? You see what I'm saying? You have to be careful because God drew us through these fruits of the Spirit.
The goodness of God.
The goodness of God is what drew us.
Very attractive.
You see what I'm saying? Not think about somebody's going through something and you tell me you stupid anyway. I ain't never liked her. What are you doing? Because at the same time you're representing God. So you have to think about, okay, I'm listening to you. If I go and I hurt somebody with my words, guess what? They're not gonna see Derick said it. They're gonna see and he's supposed to be a pastor. That's what they're gonna say. You understand? So this is why we have to be careful because you're always representing somebody, no matter what.
You gotta show our children better.
We overcome evil with good.
That's right. Because if you look at it, there's always a reason we can look at, because we've been taught to ignore those that don't look like us. Those that don't look like us, resemble us, they don't need our help. They don't need anything from us. And matter of fact, we've been taught that that's good for them. They deserve it. Why? That's not of God. And I know this is leading from, even with your words, connected to your actions, because what comes out of your mouth is who you are. Okay? So let me say this to you. When you're doing whatever and you're producing this fruit, guess what? You're producing this because this is who you are. This is what's required of you. This is who you've become. So that means that you don't worry about that person, because guess what? Sometimes they may never say thank you. Sometimes I remember watching the Jeffersons a long time ago, and I remember George had saved the white person's life, and when he found out it was George, It was blackberry. He said, you should have let me die. But guess what? He didn't do it for that. And so this is something that you have to think about too. You see what I'm saying? You can't worry about any of that. You're doing it because this is the right thing to do. This is me as the ambassador. It ain't about what I want to do as the ambassador. I got to do what he said to do. Because I'm acting on behalf of someone greater.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So always understand that. Okay? Y'all understand? So anyway, so get back to this. All I'm asking is that you think before you speak. Pretty much, you think before you speak. Because going back over, recapping over our points, what you say echoes forever. You will be judged by your words, and the way that you take control of it is by managing your actions. Managing your actions, and the best way to do it is think about the fruits of the spirits. Think about the outcome, and then go back and plant that seed. Think about the outcome, go back and plant that seed. Plant the seed to produce the outcome that you want.